Thank you for the question. I think it's a very important question because T-cell lymphomas are rare, at least in the US, and there are multiple types and they're very aggressive. There's no standard therapies and they relapse. So there are many challenges, and one of the big differences that we see between the United States and China is that you see a lot more T-cell lymphomas, particularly the NK T-cell lymphomas in certain parts of China more than the others. And so the world is as one small place, and I believe that we have to learn from each other. And China has spearheaded many therapies, many chemotherapy agents, novel therapies, because of the numbers and because of the biotechnology sector. And we, in fact, are doing many studies in the US in collaboration with many companies in China, whether it is the new novel PI3 kinase delta inhibitor or whether it is the JAK1 inhibitor. So I think it's a two-way street between the US and China. The numbers are smaller in the US and there are many biotech companies, but I think it's a lot of these innovations are coming from China.
PTCL is relatively common in China, posing significant challenges in treatment. Over the past 2 decades, domestic and international scholars have conducted extensive exploratory work aimed at enhancing therapeutic efficacy and improving survival outcomes. Encouragingly, remarkable progress has been made in this field. Firstly, we recommend that eligible patients undergo autologous hematopoietic stem cell transplantation upon achieving complete remission after initial treatment, as data indicate its beneficial effects on prognosis. On the other hand, the continuous emergence of novel drugs developed in China has opened up new avenues for PTCL treatment. Over a decade ago, epigenetic drugs, particularly histone deacetylase inhibitors, were developed internationally, demonstrating an objective response rate of 20% to 30% in the realm of small molecule targeted therapies. Building upon this foundation, recent years have witnessed rapid advancements in new drug development, with objective efficacy reaching new heights. These drugs include PI3K inhibitors such as linperlizib, EZH2 inhibitors like tazemetostat, and JAK1 inhibitors like goletocitinib, all of which have demonstrated exceptional efficacy, elevating the treatment response rate to a higher level of 40% to 50%, bringing renewed hope to PTCL patients. Specifically, regarding the unique disease entity prevalent in China, the most common subtype of PTCL NK T-cell lymphoma exhibits distinct Chinese characteristics, necessitating a treatment strategy vastly different from that for common PTCL types in Europe and the United States. In the standard treatment of common PTCL types in Western countries, CHOP combined with novel agents, CHOP plus X, has become the cornerstone regimen widely applied in the treatment of PTCL subtypes other than NKTCL. However, for NKTCL, pegaspargase serves as the cornerstone therapeutic agent, with regimens such as P-GEMOX incorporating this drug, achieving remarkable clinical efficacy. These achievements underscore the uniqueness, innovation, effectiveness, and contribution of China's treatment strategies in this field.
It's a great question. I think T-cell lymphoma has many challenges. The first one is the number of diagnoses. It's not one disease. According to the recent WHO and ICC, there are at least 32 different entities, and there are many others that don't quite fit the description, so we try and push them towards one of these areas. The initial diagnostic pathways are based on morphology, followed by immunophenotypic and molecular studies. And broadly, this morphological immunophenotyping approach has helped us with the diagnosis, but there still remain a challenge for the pathologist because they need a lot of clinical information to put the context to what they see under the microscope. The second is therapies. We have borrowed a lot of therapies from B-cell lymphoma. As professors mentioned, CHOP is the standard of care, but it may not work for everybody. There are a certain fraction of patients where CHOP works. And then for the extranodal varieties, CHOP doesn't really work. So we use something like ICE or DDGP with pegasparagine-based regimens, and even these, when they work very well in early stages, many of the T-cell lymphomas have advanced stages, high international prognostic index. So that puts us in a challenge that we have to consolidate them with an autologous stem cell transplantation or an allogeneic transplantation. The third problem is that many of these lymphomas have EBV, and EBV becomes a challenge, and EBV causes problems not only because it transforms the lymphoid cell lines, whether it's T cells or B cells, and it can bring other issues such as hemophagocytic lymphohistiocytosis. And finally, I think there are not many therapies. If you look at the United States approval, there are 3 major approvals. Since most of these patients relapse, having 3 options is not enough. So we need more therapeutics, more clinical studies. So that's where I think the collaborations and the learning from each other helps, because China sees so many T-cell lymphomas, and we at MD Anderson are the forefront of some of these diagnostic and therapeutic modalities for T-cell lymphoma. I think it's very natural that we work together in this particular area and come up with solutions. And we have had discussions with various groups here in China to try and come up with simple collaborative retrospective databases, including pathology reviews, molecular pathways, and also in clinical studies. So I think there's long ways to go, but I think it'd be a good start for us to have this collaboration, particularly in T-cell lymphomas.
Currently, participation in clinical trials is the preferred recommendation for the treatment of PTCL patients. Given the high degree of heterogeneity in PTCL, future research directions should focus on improving prognosis with a primary emphasis on refined and optimized treatment strategies tailored to different pathological subtypes. The cornerstone of this strategy lies in implementing personalized divide and conquer therapeutic approaches for each specific pathological subtype. To deepen our understanding of pathological types, extensive scientific research, particularly at the genomic level, is imperative. This necessitates significant investment in basic research to screen and identify target genes that play pivotal regulatory roles or function akin to rate-limiting enzymes. Based on these discoveries, efforts should be directed towards the development of novel drugs with rigorous evaluations of their efficacy, aiming to achieve significant breakthroughs in treatment. It is noteworthy that the relatively low incidence of PTCL in European and American countries compared to its higher prevalence in China underscores the importance of international multi-center collaboration. Through cross-border cooperation, we can more effectively validate the therapeutic effects of novel drugs, share research outcomes, and thereby accelerate treatment advancements, ultimately benefiting patients worldwide. This collaborative model not only contributes to enhancing the overall level of treatment, but also serves as a vital pathway towards medical progress.
I think it's a great question, and we are at the inflection point for molecular therapies based on various targets that has been discovered. So first thing I want to say is that a lot of advances in understanding of the biology of the various subtypes of T-cell lymphoma are ongoing, and several discoveries have been made. For example, the PTCL not otherwise specified is not just a wastebasket of diagnosis. It has actually 3 different diagnoses, and today we can subtype them easily. So one of the first themes I would say is subtyping, and the second is molecular analysis using next-gen sequencing. We're able to find not just mutations but also upregulated pathways in these T-cell lymphomas. And why? Because it gives us insights into the biology. In the parallel section, we've had developments of various novel agents, whether it is PI3 kinase delta, gamma inhibitors, or PI3 kinase delta inhibitors that's now ongoing, the JAK1, JAK2, or just JAK1 pathways, and also EZH1, EZH2 pathways. So several of these agents are now in clinical studies. Phase 2s have been completed. Recent presentations at ASH from last year and from EHA this year have shown that they have remarkable responses and durable complete remissions. So that gives hope. Now there are also newer therapies in the realm of the very rare cytotoxic T-cell lymphomas and the relapsed NK T-cell lymphomas, whereas checkpoint therapies used to work for NK T-cell lymphomas. Beyond that, we don't really have therapies, and now there is a target, a unifying target directed against CD94, which seems to be helpful, and we'll have data at ASH this year. The third point is an HLH, which I mentioned earlier, either due to EBV or due to the microenvironment. Now there is a target, pan-SERP inhibitor. We had a late-breaking abstract at EHA, which has shown to benefit these patients. And finally, I think we're not very behind in terms of CAR T development, even though we started a little late and there were challenges for developing CAR Ts for T-cell lymphomas. There are various targets that we are investigating. CD70 is an active investigation at MD Anderson. We've done allo CD70 and NK CD70. CD5 is another target, and so various groups are doing CD5 CAR Ts. CD7 is another target for selected T-cell lymphomas. So I think we are making progress with novel therapeutics, with monoclonal antibodies, bispecific antibodies, and also CAR Ts. And I think clearly there are ongoing studies. In a year or two from now, I think you'll hear more mature data, and we'll be confident to say that we have better therapies for T-cell lymphoma.
In the realm of PTCL treatment, remarkable progress have been achieved in recent years, specifically for patients achieving CR1 after first-line therapy. Autologous hematopoietic stem cell transplantation consolidation has emerged as a crucial therapeutic modality for recurrent and refractory cases. Allogeneic hematopoietic stem cell transplantation is widely recognized as the only definitive and effective treatment strategy currently available. From a subtype perspective, internationally, anaplastic large cell lymphoma stands as the first significant subtype whose treatment landscape has undergone a fundamental transformation with the introduction of brentuximab vedotin. This not only updated treatment guidelines but also significantly enhanced treatment outcomes, presenting an extremely promising therapeutic outlook. In China, the application of regimens such as PG-EMOX for NKTCL has brought hope of cure to numerous patients. Additionally, breakthroughs have been made in the treatment of angioimmunoblastic T-cell lymphoma. The advent of numerous novel drugs, including mitoxantrone hydrochloride liposome, among chemotherapeutics and PI3K inhibitors, JAK1 inhibitors, and EZH2 inhibitors among molecular targeted therapies, has significantly improved treatment efficacy, with single-agent response rates reaching as high as 40% to 50%. This achievement marks a significant step forward in treatment. In contrast, while advancements in the treatment of peripheral T-cell lymphoma not otherwise specified have been less pronounced than those for the aforementioned subtypes, research and development continue unabated. Looking back at the history of treatment, from the traditional CHOP regimen to the current CHOP plus X combination therapies, and particularly over the past decade, the incorporation of epigenetic drugs such as HDAC inhibitors, including romidepsin, pralatrexate, and domestically developed kitamide has further enhanced treatment outcomes, resulting in an improvement of approximately 20% to 30% in efficacy. Looking ahead, with the continuous advancement of science and technology, the revelation of new mechanisms of action, and the continuous emergence of new drugs have brought unlimited possibilities for the treatment of peripheral T-cell lymphoma. We firmly believe that the saying, "The road ahead is long and arduous, but with perseverance, we will reach our destination," keep moving forward, and the future is full of promise, inspires us to continue exploring and bring more effective treatments to patients worldwide.